it's Meg, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my top 2021 book releases. I always really enjoy making these videos. I think this is the third video that I've done of this, where I basically have to do a little bit of research and look around and find out about some books that I am excited to read for 2021. And let me tell you, there are some good books coming out in the new year. I am very excited. This will actually already be the new year, by the way, when this video goes up in January. But I am the list that I have got is good, and it mainly consists of authors that I've already read from, coming out with new books or sequels. But there are a couple of books that I have that are on here that are from authors I haven't read from before or are debut authors, and I'm just very excited to share with you guys with them. I'm not someone who's always super up on releases, but you know, if I do kind of like to keep an eye out for those, you know, hidden gems that hopefully I will enjoy. So I have 11 books to talk to you guys about today, so without further ado, let's get into the video. So I have written this list here, and it is not in chronological order in terms of time, so we're going to be jumping back and forth a bit here. But the first book that I have on this list is by an author I have already read from, and that is The Island by Libby Page, which comes out on the 24th of June. And you guys should know, if you are a regular watcher, that I really enjoy Libby's books. I think her writing style is so refreshing. I love the topics that she discusses, and I must admit I have read the synopses for some of these books, but I don't really want to know a lot about them because that's personally how I like to go into books. But I don't know much about this apart from the fact I think it deals with sisterhood and community, which are two things that I know Libby loves to write about, especially female friendships as well, and community, which is something I really love to read about. And it's set on an island in Scotland, and it just sounds wonderful. Kind of not the typical subject matter of the typical plots that I would personally go for, but because it's Libby, I really want to give this book a go. I love her writing, it's so refreshing and different, and I know she does a great job with building characters and building a really wonderful community in her books. So that is the first one, and definitely one of the top on my list. The second book is probably one of my most anticipated releases on this list, and that is Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Osmond, which comes out on the 13th of May. And you guys should know that I love Alice Osmond, I love Heartstopper, and I'm just so excited for the next instalment to come out. I don't know much about this, but from what I gather, I believe this kind of follows more of the journey of Charlie with dealing with his eating disorder. I feel like that's kind of the main topic of this volume, but obviously I don't know 100%. I don't really want to know anything else apart from that. It's just a wonderful, wholesome series, and unfortunately I missed the boat when it came to pre-ordering a signed copy on Waterstones. So if I haven't already pre-ordered one, if you guys know where I can get a signed copy for the 4th volume of Heartstopper, where I can pre-order it, please let me know in the comments, because I really want to try and do it because nearly all my other volumes are signed, so hopefully I can find another place that does them, which would be great. But yeah, definitely one of my top releases that I'm most excited for. Next up we have a poetry collection, which is Where Hope Came From by Nikita Gill, which comes out on the 18th of February. And I think this is the only poetry collection I have on this list, because I find it harder to keep up with poetry releases unless if it's an author or a poet that I know I've read from before and I follow on social media. And I have read a poetry collection by Nikita Gill before. I liked it, wasn't my favourite, but I read her debut novel back in 2020 and I absolutely adored it, so I really want to give her poetry another go in terms of a general collection. And this sounds amazing. The cover is gorgeous, and it's just, she wrote this in lockdown, I guess like many authors probably did with these books, and it's to do with kind of feeling lost and kind of self-discovery, I guess, and all that sort of thing. and I'm just really looking forward to it. Hopefully I will like this collection a bit more than the other one of hers that I read. But yeah, it's really exciting. It's kind of sad that it's the only poetry collection on this list, but I'm hoping that I will definitely find more throughout the year. Next up, this book does not have a release date. It has not officially been announced. It does not have a cover, but I know it is coming, and hopefully it is coming this year. Otherwise I'm going to be very sad if it is not. And that is the 4th YA novel from Laura Wood. And I'm sure she is an author that needs no introduction on this channel. You guys know that I adore her books, and she writes YA historical fiction, and they've all been set in like either the late 1920s or the early 1930s. And I know about this book because she did a live show last year for her latest book that's currently out, A Snowfall of Silver, and she talked to a little bit about her new book that she's writing, and it's very different from what I gather to her previous books. Her previous books are very like Great Gatsby-esque and kind of follow similar themes. However, this book is set in Edwardian England, which is an era I don't think I've ever read about, and it is what she described as, it's sort of like her version of Emma, her main character, which sounds so intriguing, and I just can't wait. I can't wait to see what the cover is going to look like, because her books are stunning. And yeah, I don't know anything about that, to be honest with you. I'm guessing it might come out like summer to winter, kind of like that sort of time span, like the second half of the year. I'm guessing this book is going to be released. But yeah, I'm super excited. It's going to be very different, but like you guys will know when this book has been released, because like I will be talking about it non-stop. Next up, we have Still Life by Sarah Winman, which comes out on the 10th of June. And Sarah Winman is one of my favourite authors. If you guys didn't know, I haven't talked about her books that much recently on my channel, but I do really love her books. And she is kind of a adult contemporary slash kind of historical fiction author. She has 3 books out at the moment. Unfortunately, her last book, her most recent book, Tin Man, I wasn't a fan of, but I adore her first and second book. And I don't really know much about this, apart from the fact that it is set in 1944, I think, and it follows 2 characters. It's kind of set over quite a long period of time. It's to do with love and art and family and loss, and it's queer, and that's all I need to know, to be honest. And it has Sarah's beautiful writing. Sarah's books are the sort of books where you don't really know what you're getting into until you start reading them. They're kind of very mysterious in kind of their synopsis, but I'm very much looking forward to reading it, and I hope I will enjoy it like the other 2 books of hers that I have read. Next up, we have Only on the Weekends for Dean Atter, and at the moment the date I do have for this book is the 5th of August. Like, I don't know if that's going to change because there's no cover or anything like that, but I read the Black Flamingo by Dean Atter last year, and I actually really want to reread it again because I feel like I didn't fully appreciate the book when I first read it. So I really want to read it again, but I really love Dean Atter. I really enjoy his writing style and his stories, and I appreciate him as a poet and as an author and a person in general. And I don't really know what this book is about. I did read the synopsis quite a while ago. I think it's between 2 characters. I think it is queer again, and I don't really know much more than that, but I feel like it's going to be amazing and important and beautiful and all that sort of thing. So obviously I'm excited for this book, just like all the other books on this list. Next up, we have Wild Women and the Blues by Denny S. Bryce, which comes out on the 30th of March, and I don't know much about this, apart from the fact from what I read from the synopsis a while ago, is that it's like a cross between The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Great Gatsby, and probably a bit of A Sky Painted Gold. And just that combination sounds amazing. I know it's to do with the jazz scene in Chicago. I think it's Chicago. Quote me, please correct me if I'm wrong. It's either Chicago or New York, but I think it is Chicago. And it's kind of about, I think it's kind of a dual narrative where it's about this old woman who has this person comes and interviews her and basically writes her life story, telling her about the jazz era of the 1920s, and it sounds awesome. This book honestly sounds amazing, and it sounds something that's right up my street in terms of historical fiction, and yeah, definitely one that I'm going to be looking out for in the very near future, and we haven't got long to wait either, which is wonderful. Next up we have Honeygale by Morgan Rogers, which comes out on the 23rd of February, so not a long wait again. And I don't know much about this book. The cover is beautiful. I feel it's going to be so many gorgeous covers coming out this year, and I know it's queer, and I feel like it's kind of self-discovery as well. I heard somebody say it's kind of meant to be similar to Red, White and Royal Blue, which I haven't read. I really, really want to read it. I haven't got to it yet, but it just sounds really cool and I am just here for it, so I am going to give it a go, hopefully at some point in this year, and see what I think. Next up we have the Yearbook by Holly Bourne, which comes out on the 13th of May, and Holly Bourne is the queen of UK YA, and this is her 10th book, which is amazing. And again, it's one of those books where I don't know much about. I did read the synopsis a while ago when it was first announced, but I can't remember for the life of me what it is about. It is to do with high school and probably something to do with a yearbook for the factor of the name. But it's Holly, and obviously I have to read her stuff. I adore her books so much, and I'm really interested to kind of see where her writing is now compared to like her older books. And yeah, it's going to be great. It's Holly Bourne, like, we can't be disappointed, like, it's going to be great. Next up we have The Split by Laura Kay, which comes out on the 18th of March, and I first heard about this book when my friend M from A Little Writer M got an arc of it and she read it in a reading vlog, so I will try my best to remember to leave that video in the description if you want to go and check it out and you can kind of find a bit more out about this book. But she gave it 5 stars, she absolutely adored it, and it's kind of a rom-com, and it's about this girl, and I can't remember the name, but I know she breaks up with her girlfriend and then she moves back up north with her dad and she takes the cat with her, and I feel like it is a rom-com from what I gather, but I feel like it's also much more of like a self-discovery story and kind of her learning to be single again and being okay with that. And it just seems like the sort of rom-com that's right up my street. Kind of not super heavy on the romance, but it's also kind of learning, our main character kind of learn to rediscover who she is after her breakup, and yeah, it sounds great. So you can bet your ass that I'm going to read it. Hopefully I'm going to get to it at some point this year, because I'm really looking forward to reading it. And the last book I have on this list is Midnight in Everword by Kuznier. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing her name wrong. I believe that is what her name is and how you pronounce it. But this is a rather last minute addition to this list, and that is because when I was originally writing this list I came across this book on Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin's Instagram, because he got an arc of it and he unboxed it on his Instagram stories, and it looks beautiful. Like, the arc is hardback, it is stunning. I don't know if there's a final cover for it yet, because it comes out towards the end of the year. I feel like it comes out like autumn to winter time. I haven't seen a release date for it yet, but it is basically a Nutcracker retelling, and the Nutcracker, I wouldn't say it's like my favourite story, but it's one that I've definitely grown up with as a child, like watching the Barbie movies and obviously going to see it at the ballet. But it's a book that I'm intrigued by, and it seems to have good reviews so far, and it just seems so magical and whimsical, and if it's coming out around autumn winter time, that's going to be like the perfect read. Like, I might have to save it for like my Christmassy read for this year. That might be amazing. But yeah, so I'm just plain curious on this book. I think it is going to be enchanting and magical and just all the goodness of like the Nutcracker, and I'm really interested in seeing like the retelling version of it, because I've never read any Nutcracker retelling before, so that's going to be super fun. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I am so excited to read so many of these books. I'd like to say I'm going to get to them all this year. I don't think I will, unfortunately, because I'm awful at keeping to my lists, but I definitely want to get to all these books at some point. Let me know in the comments a book that you are excited to read that is coming out in 2021. I would love to know. And if you are excited to read any of the books that I have mentioned in this video and your thoughts on them, because I would love to know as always. If you like this video, then please make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more bookish videos from me, then make sure you hit the subscribe button and little bell icon so you'll be noted every time I post a new video. As always, I will leave links to my social media along with links to my Goodreads in the description down below for you guys. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!